is in store as these giants square off down the front straightaway at Florida Sports Park. This is Trucks and Tractor Power, featuring the all-stars of the four-wheel and off-road Jamboree Suncoast Nationals. Welcome to Trucks and Tractor Power on the Nashville Network. Today we come to you from Florida Sports Park in Naples for the four-wheel and off-road Jamboree Suncoast Nationals. Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Lee. The Monsters have returned to the south of Florida. We have just concluded qualifying. We have a 12-truck field. We have some familiar faces, but a twist or two. And here with more on that is Army Armstrong.
New names, new faces? Well, not exactly. Some of the names are the same. We're just going to put them in different scenarios. For an example, remember the name Ever Jasmer, USA 1 monster truck? Dominated the sport a few years ago. Kind of took a leave. Well, they're off a leave. They're back in action. And when I say there, I'm talking about the Hall brothers who have teamed up with Ever Jasmer to bring the USA 1 out of retirement, and the Chevrolet people are ecstatic. Speaking of Chevrolet people, the Carolina Crusher Chevrolet, normally driven by Gary Porter, today will be driven by Gary Wiggins. And then Fred Schaefer comes out with the Barefoot Dodge. You say, wait a minute, Army. Schaefer's always driven the Barefoot Dodge. No, this is a brand new truck. A lot of new names, a lot of new players. No, that's not the case. A lot of the old veterans are just trying on some new shoes to see how this dance is going to go. Back to you, Gary.
Well, Army, we'll find out if those are tap shoes or ballet shoes, and we're ready for round one competition. Here's a look at the big blue Ford Andy Brass in the cockpit of Bigfoot. Andy, of course, out of St. Louis, Missouri, always a perennial favorite with the crowd, a perennial champion as well, as he will line up against Gary Wiggins in the Bill Branch Chevrolet. That is the Carolina Crusher.
You know, it's kind of interesting. Gary comes over. He's been around the sport a long time, but he's teamed up with Gary Porter to drive this truck for him. And you notice what they did on the starting line? You're seeing a lot of the technology from drag racing come to this sport. They're doing what we call dry hop. We're trying to get a lot of heat in the transmission. Marco Guerra, Diamond P Sports, takes you on board with Andy Brass.
Oh, who won that one? That was close. Did you see the wheel stand coming over the finish line by Gary Wiggins? Talk about horsepower.
Man, they're loving every minute of it. How'd you like your ride?
I like that. I want to drive Bigfoot by myself sometime, though.
By yourself,
You're not going to go for a ride?
No way, no way.
Let's take a look again as they drill this hole shot.
Yeah, but they both roll the first jump. Now they're on the throttle. Now they pull that trigger.
Andy Brass has the nose down. He wins by a fender. Too much horsepower. Nose way up in the air for Gary Wiggins. So Andy Brass is victorious, and he's down there with Army Armstrong.
Andy Brass, I bet you'll agree with me on one thing. Gary Wiggins is a good monster truck driver, isn't he? He really pushed you on this one.
Yeah, he did. You know, we knew Gary was running real hard on his times and stuff. We watched him in qualifying. His time was real well. He laid down some good passes yesterday. We knew we was going to have to run hard on the first one. We thought we wasn't getting off the line quite like we'd like to see the truck get off there. And down at the end, I knew it was going to be a good close race, and Gary did run real good.
Well, as we go to break now, we'll give you one more in-truck look at Andy Brass's win here at Naples, Florida. We're coming back with more of the Suncoast Jamboree Nationals. Stay with us. And the four-wheel and off-road Jamboree Suncoast Nationals, a part of the BF Goodrich Performance Series. Gary Lee along with Army Armstrong. We take a look at Fred Schaefer. At the top of the show, we told you about Fred Schaefer's new Barefoot truck, some teething problems. Actually, he has some suspension problems. The brand new truck brought it down from Illinois, and he knew he could not be competitive, as evidenced by this run in round one against Scott Stevens. But for all the Dodge fans, Fred Schaefer brought the truck out. Again, the suspension's brand new, too soft. They have to stiffen up that suspension. But he said, hey, the Dodge fans are here. We want to run for them. He did that, and after this run in round one, we had a chance to visit with Fred Schaefer.
Well, Gary, I'm going to grab Fred literally. Even you got problems getting in and out of the new truck. You're just you got to tweak it, don't you?
Yeah, you do that, yes.
What about the steering? It looks like that it's just whatever the plan doesn't seem to be working.
Army, we crashed our other truck, and you know, being in the series and everything we're in, we you know, had to continue to get the other truck fixed. We run behind on this truck, and quite honestly, we was behind when we brought it here, and we had to get it here, and it needs to be finished.
Also at the top of the show, we told you about the return of USA 1, and in round 1, the matchup against Snakebite, well, it appears that if Mark Hall may need a bit more speed time as he gets drilled at the line by Colt Cobra.
Cobra running that new TPI torque converter in the far lane, able to really get the RPMs up on that supercharged Ford engine. Like you say, he left him at the line. Mark Hall, he'll be a player before this year's over, I'll guarantee you, though, with that USA red, white, and blue truck.
Yeah, it just takes a lot of time, a lot of speed time.
Sure,
in all forms of motorsport.
Like any kind of racing.
Well, there's a look at John Moore out of Tennessee, and no problem. Also in round 1, well, John Moore did have some problems at the starting line. He lined up in the far lane against Lyle Hancock in the Gravedigger. But the red light said that Lyle Hancock knocked John Moore advancing to round 2.
Now, Moore had problems with the HPX no-problem vehicle. The suspension, they're still trying to get it dialed in. Meanwhile, Gravedigger rolls on.
And closing out round 1, we had a very competitive run by Don Van Loo and Magnum Force, the 93 Dodge Dakota, with the 528-inch Hemi. In the far lane against Kirk Dabney out of Portland, Indiana in Nightmare. All Nightmare.
Dabney really looking strong, but the Dodge boys are starting to make their presence known in this monster truck competition, Gary.